So I'm going to be showing you a great example of a person that, like I said before, in most cases, a lot of these guys are stolen accounts, but could be potentially a proof of concept of a person who just started cheating because he's frustrated with how terrible he is at the game. Now, that could be the case. Brand new account. Probably not knowing the case. But when you see his record, you'll think I'm probably correct. Because, yeah, he's basically negative in most vehicles that are not hard to be positive in. Like the Bulldog, for instance, I get the American one doesn't get heat FS, but it's very nimble. You scout a bunch. You are a light tank, obviously, granted, but some of these don't, and from my perspective, makes no sense to be negative in. The current vehicle he's cheating in, the M47, he is fully negative in. The vehicle he was in before this current spawn, he's negative in. So you'll see that there's no real reason to think that there's no way this guy is, like, legit, other than the fact that he's cheating. Because, granted, I know arcade and realistic are a different ballgame when it comes to spotting, but I don't understand how you could be extremely positive in arcade and extremely negative in realistic based on just the amount of playtime when it comes onto an account like this. Now, granted, like I said, there's definitely a difference of time spent. Still spend 700 battles in arcade and 1,400 in realistic, but this is a proof of concept as to if this person isn't a stolen account, if it is the person just generally cheating and started cheating like going on, it's a person who got frustrated with the game and just wants to cheat now, or got offered by the certain group of individuals that thinks their cheat's undetected, and this is what their account's going with. Now, I paused here because you'll see that. Now, for all the haters who are like, he's probably in UOQ, you probably could see through it. I don't know a single gameplay where EAC, or not, sorry, EAC, because it's not EAC anymore, you could shoot through everything like this and claim it's UOQ. I get a lot of people in my comments who are section who are like, oh, it's probably UOQ because my bushes don't appear like that. I'd love you to show me a photo like that, because I don't know a single file that shows you that says, hey, I can look straight through everything with UOQ. Because I don't record in UOQ. I don't play in UOQ, and I don't need to prove to you that UOQ doesn't do that, because if you want to go look for self, you more than willing can. Like this guy who's completely behind a rock. There's no way he'd know he was there. So you'll understand the reasoning why I get really frustrated with people who claim they know better, but in reality, they don't. Like our certain friend that I saw recently, who I thought it was hilarious, claims that a person like Spookston is cheating. Now, according to him, I should do my own research and find that he is using some sort of radar hack, even though Spookston has like 10,000 hours in this game. Now, I've said before that you should definitely get a really good headset in this game, because you definitely don't need a radar hack to find people cheating in this game, because in general, from about 0.2 kilometers away like these guys are, you start hearing people and you can kind of get an idea of where they are. Now, granted, Gaijin's sound system recently has been absolute garbage, to the point where I have guys coming up to my left and I'm hearing them on my right, and yet they're making no sound. And it's extremely frustrating because Gaijin's going to add all this brand new stuff into the game, and yet they can't improve something as simple as the sound engine, or even the cheat engine that they use in this game, or the anti-cheat system in this game. And yet we're constantly left with this feeling of, man, that would be so great if this game actually worked when it wanted it to. Now, I will make a point that if you want me to look at a replay, give me a replay. Okay? This is why I ask people to give me a replay in my formats that I've always asked for. So there's no point in giving me a person saying, hey, I think this person's cheating, and you give me just their name. Now, I will still look at names when I have nothing else to look for, but granted, I get a lot of people who give me replays and files to look at, and it makes sense for me to go, hey, they want me to look at this specific replay in this specific time frame. And if it's and there is times when it is my fault, well, I will admit, where I will not look at a replay because I, waited too long. Like the last 2 weeks, for example, replays will stop working. So again, But the thing is, they gave me a replay. They gave me saying, hey, this person's blatantly cheating. Oh, this guy's gonna suck. This person's blatantly cheating. I know he's cheating in this replay. Well, cool. I can go look up his name now, and I have his ID in case he changed his name, and say, hey, I know this person's cheating. I'm gonna look at his name, and I'm gonna go from here and make sure that this player is actually doing what they're doing. But if you just say, hey, I think Spooks Normalzy's cheating because reasons, that doesn't give me an incentive to go and look at his account, because that's not an incentive to look at the account. There's no reason for me to look at the account if you're not giving me any proof of your own investigation other than I think he's cheating. So do me a favor. If you want me to look at a player, please actually investigate the player on your own and just say, I think he's cheating because of X, or I think he's cheating because of Y. Give me a replay, give me a timestamp, say, hey, in this part of the replay, I think he's cheating. And most of the time when people give me a replay that has a timestamp on it, saying, hey, can you look at this certain player at this certain time frame? I think he's cheating. And 99% of the time, I will go look at that replay, look at that timestamp, and say, hey, I don't think he's cheating because I could hear him in that same part of the replay. Or, hey, I see what's going on in the same part of the replay. And even better is, say I get into that point where I find a person where I don't think he's cheating, which I do a lot of times. I get to a point where I could hear the enemy on the corner that the person claims that he couldn't hear. Well, okay, cool. I'll go look at 2 other replays to see if he's actually cheating, to make sure that, you know, nothing is going wrong with that replay. Or to make sure that, you know, I'm going to confirm my suspicion that that person is not cheating. Now, granted, they still go on my list just because reasons, and I write out what the suspicion is. But that's a person that I might come back to in the future. But there are blatant cheaters that bring my attention even more, that kind of need to be put into place first. Other than that, I kind of need to make sure that those people get reported on first before anything else, if that makes any sense. So try to do your own investigation, because a lot of people, I want people to really realize that there are cheaters in this game, because a lot of people actively deny that there are cheaters in this game, which I find is incredibly sad, because I still think that there are less than 1% of the player base is cheating at any one time. And I will say that if people are not going to realize that, then that's the general idea, because Gaijin bans, you know, 3,000 or 4,000 accounts every month, but we constantly don't realize that that list of cheaters is likely the same person cheating on multiple accounts. Which, it's always good that Gaijin bans these accounts, but we need them to do more than just ban the accounts and move on. We need them to actually update the anti-cheat, actually inform BattleEye of, here's the problem with the cheats. We need to figure out what's going on with this. God dang. Bro's blatantly cheating and he can't stop to aim. So the biggest thing is we want Gaijin to learn from their mistakes and actually move on to this, instead of just moving to another anti-cheat thinking it's going to work when clearly they didn't do anything to help them in the first place. So as always, I really do encourage you to do a little bit of research and then report the player to me. Give me a timestamp, give me whatever, even if it's one instance in the replay. Do a little bit of research, give me a replay, give me a timestamp, give me the player ID, give me the player's name, go from there. And that's the way it works for me. That works in my benefit and works to make the game, at least my process, work a little bit better. If you want to report a person like a CC that you think is ultimately cheating, unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, there is another content creator that does looks at cheats. His name is Baitwalker2. Now, granted, I don't have an issue with Baitwalker2 in the sense of who he is and what he reports on. The problem is he reports a lot of content creators as cheaters when he doesn't look at player experience. So if in that regard, I really wish he would actually check on that, because he just kind of says, hey, I think they're cheating because this, and yet doesn't like prove it any otherwise. So I will encourage you to, if you think a CC is cheating, go report it to him, because unless you give me definite proof that this person's cheating, like from a physical replay, it's not enough for me to look at it constructively, because I need literal proof of someone saying, hey, he's cheating. So I'll leave this here. As always, if you're a person in question you want to lead to me, please try to follow my pinned format below of the name, ID, replay, and a timestamp, or even a description of what you saw on the replay. And as always, I hope you have a good rest of your morning, day, evening, or night, and have a good one.